The Man Who Refused to Give Up. The True Story of Chris Gardner.
People hurried through the crowded sidewalks. Umbrellas drifted past one another like waves in an endless sea. Everyone had somewhere important to be. Except one man. He wasn't rushing towards an office. He was walking from one building to another, carrying a heavy medical machine in his arms. Every step felt heavier than the last. Some people barely noticed him. Others looked away. To them, he was just another struggling salesman trying to make a sale. But hidden beneath that exhausted face was a man whose story would inspire millions. A man who refused to surrender when life gave him every reason to. This is the true story of Chris Gardner, a man who proved that determination can change destiny.
Chapter 1. A Difficult Beginning. Long before expensive suits, long before Wall Street, long before success, Chris Gardner was simply a young boy trying to understand why life seemed so unfair. He grew up in poverty. His childhood wasn't filled with security or comfort. Instead, uncertainty became a familiar companion. Some days brought hope, others brought fear. The adults around him struggled with their own hardships. Arguments echoed through the house. Dreams often felt impossible. Yet, even as a child, Chris noticed something remarkable. No matter how difficult yesterday had been, tomorrow always arrived, and tomorrow always offered another chance. He didn't know how, he didn't know when, but deep inside, he believed life could become something greater. Sometimes the smallest spark of hope is enough to survive the darkest night. That belief would stay with him for the rest of his life. Chapter 2. A Dream Worth Chasing. Years passed. Chris grew into a determined young man searching for opportunity. Eventually, he found work selling sophisticated medical scanners. The machines were remarkable. Hospitals needed them. Doctors appreciated them. But there was one problem. They were incredibly expensive. Selling even one machine required patience, persistence, and a little luck. Some weeks ended with success. Others ended with nothing. Every unanswered phone call, every closed door, every rejection made life a little harder. Bills continued arriving. Rent never waited. Food still had to be bought. Hope alone couldn't pay the expenses. Yet Chris kept believing. One more customer, one more meeting, one more chance. He refused to stop trying.
Chapter 3. Everything falls apart. Then life became even harder. Money disappeared faster than it arrived. The unpaid bills grew into towering stacks. Each envelope carried another reminder that time was running out. Stress followed him everywhere. Every morning began with worry. Every night ended with uncertainty. The future seemed impossible to predict. Housing became unstable. Comfort slowly disappeared. The weight of responsibility became almost unbearable. But the greatest concern wasn't himself. It was his young son. Children don't always understand financial struggles. They simply trust that someone will protect them. Chris carried that responsibility every single day. Some evenings he wondered, can I really keep going? Life answered with another obstacle, another setback, another disappointment. Still, he stood back up. Again, and again, and again.
Chapter 4. A Father's Promise. Being a father changed everything. Every difficult decision, every sacrifice, every sleepless night had a purpose. Chris looked at his son and silently made himself a promise. No matter what happens, you will always know I never stopped trying. That promise became stronger than fear, stronger than failure, stronger than exhaustion. When quitting seemed reasonable, he remembered those words. When hope became difficult, he remembered those words. His son wasn't just depending on him for food or shelter.
he was learning something far more valuable: how courage looks when life becomes difficult. Children watch actions more than words. Chris understood that. He wanted his son to remember persistence, not defeat.
Chapter 5. The Opportunity. One ordinary day, an unexpected possibility appeared. Chris heard about a stockbroker training program. The opportunity sounded almost impossible. Hundreds of talented applicants. Only a handful would succeed. Many candidates had prestigious backgrounds, university degrees, professional experience, connections. Chris had none of those advantages, but he possessed something many others didn't: relentless determination. Most people would have convinced themselves they weren't qualified. Chris asked a different question. What if I surprise everyone? So he submitted his application, not because success was guaranteed, but because refusing to try guaranteed failure. Sometimes courage begins with simply raising your hand. Chapter 6. Fighting against the odds. The training was demanding. Every lesson mattered. Every mistake carried consequences. Competition surrounded him. Others appeared more confident, more experienced, better prepared. Chris refused to compare himself. Instead, he focused on improving one day at a time. Morning became afternoon. Afternoon became evening. Late nights became early mornings. He studied whenever he found a quiet moment. Every page he read, every concept he mastered, moved him one step closer. Progress wasn't dramatic. It was slow, almost invisible. But invisible progress is still progress. Most people quit because results don't appear immediately. Chris kept working anyway. Chapter 7. The Turning Point. Eventually, the moment arrived. Months of effort, sacrifice, discipline, and perseverance were finally tested. The decision that could change his future stood before him. Then came the answer. He had earned the opportunity to become a stockbroker. Years of hardship hadn't defeated him. They had prepared him. Every rejection had taught resilience. Every setback had built character. Every difficult day had strengthened his resolve. Success didn't happen because life suddenly became easy. It happened because he refused to stop moving forward, one determined step at a time. Chapter 8. Building a Better Future. That opportunity became the foundation of something much greater. Chris continued learning, continued growing, continued believing. Years later, he established his own financial company. He became an entrepreneur, a respected speaker, an author whose story inspired people around the world. Audiences listened because his message wasn't based on theory. It came from experience. He knew what uncertainty felt like. He understood failure. He remembered rejection. Most importantly, he understood perseverance. Success had transformed his circumstances, but it never erased the lessons learned during the hardest years. Those lessons became his greatest wealth. Conclusion. Life doesn't always reward talent first. It doesn't always reward intelligence first. Sometimes, life rewards the person who simply refuses to quit. Chris Gardner's journey reminds us that our present circumstances are not permanent. Failure is not the end. Hardship is not the final chapter. Dreams are rarely achieved overnight. They are built through thousands of ordinary decisions. Choosing to wake up, choosing to try again, choosing hope instead of surrender. Perhaps today you're carrying your own invisible burden. Maybe people see only your struggles. Maybe they don't recognize your potential. That's okay. They don't need to believe in your future. You do. Because every extraordinary success story once looked like an ordinary person refusing to give up. Thank you for listening. If this story encouraged you, remember this: your greatest breakthrough may be waiting on the other side of the day you almost decided to quit. Never stop believing. Never stop growing. And above all, never stop trying. Before you go,
If this story inspired you, don't let the motivation end here. Every week, we share powerful true stories of ordinary people who achieved extraordinary things through courage, perseverance, and determination. If you believe that one story can change a life, subscribe to the channel and join our growing community of dreamers, doers, and believers. Like this video if it encouraged you. Leave a comment telling us one lesson you'll take into your own life. And share this video with someone who needs a reminder to never give up. Remember, success doesn't belong to the smartest. It doesn't belong to the luckiest. It belongs to those who refuse to quit. Keep believing, keep growing, keep moving forward. We'll see you in the next inspiring story. Until then, never stop trying.